So I am LV, and this is my podcast, Sayonara Cupcake. And I have with me, and it's not my guest, because a guest would infer that he's only on ever so often. I would consider him more my constant, like in Desmond Hume and Lost. So our constant for Sayonara Cupcake is Desmond Sumner. And I was going to call him a producer because he's going to, I don't know how to do any of the technical stuff, and I'm just kind of learning as we go. So he's my tech guy. You refer to yourself as an intern because it is unpaid, right?
It's very unpaid.
And but I think this just goes to show the reason why I wanted to start this podcast was I just had a thought one day. I think it was in a conversation with you, but after we had the conversation, I was just thinking about how I had a lot of different friends in different walks of life. And that could be somewhat surprising if somebody meets me and they're like, how do you know this person? Or how do you know this person? Or how did you meet this person? Because pretty much if you get to know me, I'm a hermit that never leaves the house. So that makes it kind of surprising. But the common thing that seemed to draw all these people and me together was that we all loved music. And I think that people talking about music, people that love music, love to talk about music. And so it was just a way to have conversations with people that I knew who love talking about music. And I think one of the reasons why it's important to me is I have a son. He's almost about to turn 14. And that was kind of the age that I started discovering a lot of music on my own, not just like what my parents were listening to or things I heard in the car. It was kind of that discovery time for me. So it made me start thinking about how people discover music, how people fall in love with the music that they fall in love with and listen to the rest of their lives. I'm still listening to the stuff that I fell in love with, when I was 12 and 13, and talking to you, I know that it's the same with you. So I think that's an interesting conversation and topic.
Yeah, I agree. That's possibly how we first bonded. I remember meeting you and we didn't talk about anything apart from music. And things which I thought were quite rare or quite specialist, you knew the same as me, if not more. And that created an immediate bond between us. And it just was the catalyst for so many experiences and conversation. The first, I think conversation might be the wrong word. The first time I had an audience with you, I was just blown away by all these different stories, all related to music, just all over the place. It wasn't just one genre or one song or one artist. It was, it's like a scattergun of music. And that made me think, I'm very much into mathematics, and I believe that mathematics is one of the languages of the universe. And I also believe that music is one of the languages of the universe. And it helps us to communicate with each other and have these amazing experiences that we can either share or share with each other at the time, or we can share with each other later as fond memories.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that kind of resonates. Some people, and I talk about it, and I will be talking about it in my first podcast with my first guest, but that a lot of the friendships that I found that were like instant friendships that I've had where we just clicked from the start. There was no weird kind of getting to know each other phase. They were all with other people that loved music. So that's just that kind of common thread. For some reason, it's like, and I've told you this before, I call them B people. Sometimes it's B people. And somebody said, what's a B person? And it always reminds me of the video for Blind Melon's song called No Rain, where there's the girl and she's dressed up as a bee and she keeps doing these dances for everybody, and nobody really appreciates her. So she's just quite sad, and she's feeling kind of crestfallen that she can't find her peeps. And then suddenly goes into a field and sees all these other crazy bee people too, and she's like found her people. And so I always call those types of people my bee people, and I'm blessed to have bee people in my life. So you're a
Yeah.
blessing as well.
And that also taught me about bee people and a lot about people in general. That when you meet another bee person, that's the superficial uh, formalities are so insignificant, and you can get straight to the important stuff that really affects you deeply in a positive way.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So another aspect of bee people, LV, is we don't really ask questions. We just perceive. And I've been
Agreed.
working on I've been working on working. I've been involved with Sayonara Cupcake since its inception, and not once did I say, "Why is it called Sayonara Cupcake?" So
This is true.
this isn't me asking for me, of course. This is me asking for the general audience who might want to know why the name of this podcast is Sayonara Cupcake.
It makes my mother angry. This is a true story. It makes her angry for reasons unknown. She's a character in herself. Kind of connecting it to what we were just talking about friendships and bee people. When I had the idea, which was really quite recently, and I told you, and I told my friend Anuj, also a bee person, he said, and I said, oh, maybe, maybe I tried to tell him what the idea was about. And I said, I just really want to record conversations about music with people, because people that I like talking about music to kind of like a little bit of everything. And so that's really cool. So we can get excited about jazz or R&B or rock or pop. And so that's the really lovely thing. And I want to reiterate to people to always have friends like you guys, because there was nobody was talking me out of it. Nobody was sitting there saying, well, it takes a lot of work to start a podcast. They're like, yeah, when are you going to do it? I said, maybe I could talk to you. And she's like, yep, I'm available this day. Did it give me any kind of chance to back out of my idea? So definitely, thank you for that. Sayonara Cupcake, it's a phrase that came from a misheard lyric. It was a misheard lyric from a Pinback song. And if you're familiar with Rob Crow, who is Pinback, he's got a ton of other bands. He's a musician from San Diego. He's got bands, Optiganly Yours, Heavy Vegetable, Physics, Goblin Clock, which could be a bird, but and a band called Thingy, which was offered my actually. So I gave Thingy, this is a side tangent. And see, I actually have a list here of stop side tangents.
Well, I'm gonna interrupt there. I think part of the reason I'm happy to be involved is the side tangents are the story. That's where a lot of the charm is. And I know you might think they're uninteresting or distracting, but that's where the charm is. And I see part of my role as unpaid intern to keep that charm and keep those interesting side tangents so that everyone can hear about them and everyone can learn about them and everyone can experience them.
Yeah, I will be better at letting you edit the videos, because we both edited the interview I did with Anuj, and we had two different edits, and mine removed most of my conversation from my edit, because I just thought, oh, nobody wants to listen to me. But Desmond here disagrees. It thinks I should leave more conversation. So we'll see. So maybe I think that over time it will evolve and grow into whatever it's just a very organic state. It's just, there's no thing involved. I can't really think of, I don't know where it's going to go. But back to the name, Sayonara Cupcake came from a misheard lyric in a pinback song. The song was called Charborg. Charborg, if you want to go look it up. And I always thought, for years, and pinback's been around for like a long time, and this album's been around for a long time. And I just always thought the line was Sayonara Cupcake. And if you know or are familiar with Rob Crow's work, he's a very, very great artist that's, I would say, somewhat whimsical in the best ways possible. So him writing a line that I thought said Sayonara Cupcake didn't faze me. I'm not, yeah, sure, that sounds like a line that Rob Crow would say. And then when Spotify came out and, then the lyrics came on the song, I'm like, oh, that's not what he said at all. But I still sing that line, Sayonara Cupcake. To me, it could be taken so many ways. It could just be Sayonara Cupcake, or it'd be like Sayonara, comma, Cupcake. It just can be endearing. And Cupcake can be meant in a menacing way. It could be meant in an endearing way. There's like so much ambiguity. I just liked it. I liked the flow of it. It turns out nobody's ever really, or maybe somebody has, but nobody's ever sought to go out and put those words together, because it was like really easy to secure Sayonara Cupcake for almost everything. So that's why I liked it. Why it makes my mother upset. She thinks that we're starting a bakery, and she doesn't know why I would start a bakery, and why I'm saying goodbye to the bakery. Yeah, so that's so funny. She's an 80-year-old, lovely retired horticulturalist and photographer. Yeah, she's a character in herself. I could probably
say
just
the very same thing. She's a character.
Yeah, she's definitely, maybe she'll be on sometime. That could be bad, it could be good, who knows about these things. So having listened to the edit, this was my first podcast I recorded. It was the first. I told Desmond here I didn't tell him to. I asked him and he offered to edit for me. And then I listened.
Telling.
There was some telling, but then I was so self-conscious of hearing myself. Like I decided to just take out so much of everything that I was saying, because I thought I was yapping. But now I have a note, because I realized that I am a thumper. And there's an inside joke on that. Not like a shady, not a dodgy inside joke. I mean, that could be taken the wrong way, thumper. But I have no experience in doing a podcast. I've been a guest on a podcast once where I thumped a lot, and I made everybody annoyed, including my child was annoyed that I thumped. So I'm trying to keep hands away. I have all these notes everywhere. Don't make weird faces or noises. Don't stutter. Don't thump. Don't yap.
Maybe we need some mittens, or I think boxing gloves might make it worse.
Straight jacket.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You're just being kind. So now that you're on and I have you just for a second or so, maybe I'll put this towards the end. You've heard pretty much the podcast, so maybe I'll put part of this at the beginning of it and then add some to the end. You heard the interview with Anuj. Anything that you feel like commenting about?
Yeah, because I was told, asked to edit. I heard every single second of the conversation numerous times, and I still find it fascinating to listen to. Not once did I stop because I thought this is boring. Not once did I stop editing saying, "Oh, I'm a bit tired of this. I don't want to do this." I was fascinated, and I'm excited for other people to hear this conversation. It's an interesting conversation between two people about music. Add on to that, it's an interesting conversation between two people catalyzed by music. So the soul yes, music is always there, and that's the center of everything. But there, there are lots of life lessons, life stories, interesting, amusing, like sometimes um, some things that make you think more deeply. And every time I listened to it, which was many, and then my edit was left on the cutting room floor.
I'll let you edit it from now on. I was just totally unaware of myself. And what ended up happening was, which is actually exactly what I want to have happen, was that I was unaware, I became unaware that I was recording. Like, even though I was recording, it was just me having a conversation with the news, like on FaceTime.
But
And
that's what I'm
so
trying to say to you, that is the charm of it. It's not scripted. It's not overly planned. You weren't sitting there with prompts and you didn't know what direction the conversation was going to go in. And that's, to me, the beauty of Sayonara Cupcake. If it was scripted, if it was planned, I think I would have got bored. I would have lost interest. But the fact that it goes off on so many tangents and it includes so many stories, and you know, I feel like I met Anuj, and that's the kind of conversation that's interesting.
I think that if I couldn't do something scripted. I mean, you know me pretty well, and I'm not the person to color within the lines. You get, for a second, you had the face of that, like our first parent conference, and I just had like PTSD.
But yeah, it's the same background. This is the same curtain. This is where we first met.
This is yeah, this is exactly where I was too. And I remember I felt so, this is just my own insecurity, not that you were admitting this, but I just felt like really stupid because you were the math student. How I Met Anuj was really cool. My son and I used to have this thing where we would scroll through Instagram reels together because we'd find something funny or something cute. And he used to make fun of me because he said that my Instagram stories were all over the place. He's like, you don't follow like one particular thing. And I'm like, yeah, why would I? Because there's funny things, there's interesting things, there's music, there's a little bit of everything. And I kind of feel like that's just me, like a little bit of here and there. So if somebody were to ask me what this podcast was about, I would just say music and other stuff. Like, I don't exactly know what that other stuff is. It's just like whatever is interesting. Like, you sent me something this morning um, about the gentleman's club. So it might be something about talking about that today, you know. But what I liked about Anuj's page is when we found it, it's hard to explain, but he had this aesthetic. So if you went on his page, it was like a checkerboard. It'd be like one thing of his logo, then one still of a video, then his logo. So it looked like a checkerboard pattern. And for a person that is probably undiagnosed OCD or something, I really appreciated that. I was like, oh, I really like that he took the time to make that aesthetic nice. But as he went on, and I'd play the little video that he had, and it might be a band, but then he would have like a little story about that song, something that he researched, and he'd credit wherever he found it. But it was really cool because I thought, oh, wow, I never heard that before. I never heard this before. And after spending about 3 hours, like I said, 3 hours down this rabbit hole, um, and I would share these, I would tell Angus about it, or I'd tell him where I first heard that song, because he was so into music when he was 7. He would make all these playlists on Spotify and pull from all these different sources. And he introduced me to a lot of bands that I'd never heard of. And so I ended up sending Anuj, I didn't know his name was Anuj. I didn't know anything about it. Just sent an email to the account, and I just said, hey, thanks for this page. This page was really cool. And I just wanted to say, you know, me and my son just spent a good chunk of the evening on this page. And thanks a lot for all this work that you put into it. Didn't really, you know, not expecting a response or something, but I just thought, you know, just kind of spread that appreciation of like, we appreciated the page, we appreciated the time that he took, and I appreciated that moment and experience with my son, that memory of sitting there talking about music, which was really cool. So we wrote back, and then I just, came to find that he was just this kid in his 20s, and he was just discovering music and just exploring, and such positive energy, positive vibe, and again, be person. So we just instantly connected. And I said to him not too long ago, because we've been friends like 7 years now, I can't, and it's kind of like the same with you. I can't, it feels weird to imagine a time in my life that he or like you weren't in my life. Because your B people are just like your B people.
Yeah, I agree. It's like time isn't linear. It's something else. And that's maybe because of music.
Yeah.
Music has its own energy. And I think your description of, oh, what's this podcast about? And you're just going to say music and other stuff. You could say the same about life. What's life about? Oh, music and other stuff.
Yeah. Like I don't know what I would do without music. It's such an important part of my life, listening to it in the background. And I have an appreciation for everything. There's maybe one band that I'll never say what band that is. One band that I don't want to, I probably will say, and it really has nothing to do with them or their music. I will say it. It's a good story. I think you know the story. But I'll save that for a different day of why I don't even want to hear it. Like it's funny because I even had this conversation with Anuj not too long ago. He was like, wow, I didn't realize you had this much intensity of hatred for a band. And like, it really doesn't even have to do with the band. I said, it just happens to do with the longest, and to this day, I still don't know who did it, but the longest troll, it went on for over a decade. Which now makes me hate that band. And I feel really sad for saying it. It's not even that I hate the band. I hate the name of the band. I hate any association. Yeah, I hate the band. That's a terrible thing to say.
It's an interesting thing to say too. It's a tease. I mean, nobody could listen to that and say, "Oh, I don't want to know." Everyone now is thinking, "Which band is it?"
But the funny thing is, it's like the universe, the cosmos seems to tease me as well, because it doesn't matter what country. I've been to several different countries. I've been to the Southern Hemisphere. I've been everywhere. And it seems like no matter where I go, I will always find some person busking that song, or some roving musician at a restaurant singing that song. And as much as I love music and as much as I love buskers, I have to draw the line at the roving music. I can't do it. I'm too nervous. I can't. It physically hurts. It physically hurts. My face will hurt. And I feel terrible. I'm one of these people that I always laugh at inappropriate times. It's like a nervous thing. And so whenever there's roving musicians in a restaurant, and then it just makes it worse because I feel so terrible because I don't want them to think that I'm laughing at them. But that makes it so much more intense, to the point where as I'm trying to stay stoic, my face hurts. Like just streams of tears are coming down my eyes. They think I'm probably having some kind of a seizure. And it's resulted so many times of me running out of a restaurant. And I feel terrible about it because it's got nothing to do with that. I love buskers. I will stop and listen to any busker. I think it takes a lot of courage to do that. And I've seen some crazy. I've seen some people busking. I saw a guy busking in Balboa Park in San Diego, and he had no arms. And he played Red Hot Chili Peppers with his feet and his toes. And it was amazing. I mean, if you closed your eyes, you would never be able to tell that this man was playing a song with his feet and toes. So it's really amazing the obstacles people can overcome because of their love for music. So And that's something I talked about with Anuj, and why I love his page so much is that he doesn't come from a negative, I'm going to critique or say people should have done this differently in this song or done the production differently. It's just, he's excited for that music. And I love people that are excited about music. Um, it, it's so cool to me when people are excited about music. So yeah, I love opera. I can't get anybody to go to opera with me. Like in the past, I couldn't get anybody to go to opera with me, but I could get people to go to the symphony with me, but I also cry at the symphony. I also cry at Broadway shows. It's like always like an uncomfortable to cry because I always like try to get like a first row seat just because I want to experience it. But there's always me like crying at even the parts that nobody should be crying. But I always think that, wow, look at how cool this must be for them. They'd come out here to wherever doing this show, and people bought tickets to come watch them, and they're doing what they love, and the people are loving what they're doing. And there's kind of this beauty in it all that just makes me cry. So, but I cry at everything.
Most things, yeah.
Most things. I think it feels good to cry sometimes.
Yeah, it's very cathartic.
There's definitely something cathartic. If you ever need to cry and you can't find reasons to cry, you could always go on YouTube and look up Thai insurance commercials. They're dubbed. They're not dubbed, but they have subtitles in English. But if you've never seen a Thai insurance commercial, they're kind of like a mini cinematic film that are like usually 5 minutes long, but it tells like some elaborate story. But have you ever watched them?
I've never seen one, but I certainly will seek one
Now
out
you need
now.
to go Google. Yeah, now you have to go like YouTube it, Thai insurance commercial. But they leave me wrecked, like absolutely wrecked, like ugly face crying. My son's come in and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." And he's like, "Why do you watch it?" I'm like, "Because it's beautiful. It's really beautiful." And he's like, "But you're crying." I'm like, "Yeah, because it's a beautiful cry, not my face, but it's a beautiful cry." Like the reasons for crying. So if you ever need to cry, Thai insurance commercials.
Okay, LV, we've just listened to your conversation with Anuj, and I'm not going to ask what people can do if they liked it, because I know everybody liked it. I can't imagine anyone listening and not liking it.
There's going to be people that don't like it.
Yeah.
That's just the statistics.
Yeah.
50-50.
No, it's going to be higher than that. In our favour. So you and Anuj both mentioned quite a number of bands and songs. How can we listen to those?
I think that for every episode, I'm going to have a bonus playlist on Spotify, and we'll connect that. There's going to be links to it's right now it's like to Linktree, and it's got links to everything. But so if you're watching it on YouTube, you can subscribe to YouTube. If you're watching on a different platform, you could subscribe to whatever. But it'll also have the bonus playlist on Spotify that will have the songs that were discussed on the podcast. And then Anuj has also made another playlist too that we're linking of just songs that he said just really kind of were the foundation of his love of music, which is really cool.
It is really cool. And I believe when people start looking into that, that'll just be the seed of their journey. I know, for example, he mentions Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic by The Police. So there's going to be a whole generation of brand new Police fans out there. And then at the other end of that, there's some bands who don't have many listeners now. I suspect their numbers are going to skyrocket.
I hope that Door Plants listeners skyrocket. Like so far, I think 2,000 people have heard their song, and I wanted to correct it because I now found it's called Wanna Be Sad Song. And they're just, like I said, they're just Thai teenagers, 2,000 listens, but the song is so good. It has a very Ride kind of feel. It reminds me of Ride, and I really want to have them on at some point because I really do want to talk to it. And that's what I think, what I love, what I kind of see this podcast being about is I'm always curious of what is the start of people's musical journey. Like what was it that changed from one day you were listening to this to then all of a sudden you were listening to, you're starting to choose your own music. Because I think that a lot of us, either we have the influences of what our parents are listening to or what our siblings are listening to. But it's always interesting to me, what was that one album that for you turned on some light bulb for people and they started going down this musical path of what they now enjoy. I think that's such a fascinating kind of a journey to me, and everybody's journey is different. And so I just want to talk to people about that because I think that's fascinating, but it's kind of relative and important to me because I feel like my son and his friends are at that age right now, where they're listening to, and they're starting to discover what they like. And there's songs that, and he was talking to me the other day saying that there's songs that I listen to that you play that I really like and I put on my playlist, but there's also this other stuff. And so it's interesting having those conversations as well. Maybe I'll have some younger folks later and talk to them about um, their musical journeys as well. Like what's cool, what's hip, and even talking to you about it because you've got a side gig, you've got a side gig where you have the pulse of the young generation. You're hearing what they're listening to, but you're also hearing their reaction to what you're listening to. And so that's an interesting conversation that I would love to have you back on so we could talk about that because I think that's super interesting as well. What
It
is
is
their
super
reaction?
interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it's the reaction often comes from recognition. I'd say 50% recognition that they've heard something before, whether it's through their parents or through a meme or through a movie, or 50% just, wow, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, that's a good conversation to have.
Yeah, I definitely want to maybe we'll even do it later. Maybe we'll do it later tonight. What do you do later tonight? I'll record something else. Yeah, but that definitely is a really cool conversation. I definitely want to have. Um, just to wrap it up, there's links everywhere. There's cross stuff. It's DIY. It's not going to be perfect. I'm learning as we go. I just had this idea for this, and I luckily have a lot of awesome friends that are just super supportive and pushing me to do it. No excuses.
Correct. And it's very organic. So I recommend everyone out there to like, subscribe, follow these links, and then just wait and enjoy the next episode.
Yeah, get in on it while it's like cool and unknown so you can say that you were there before, you were there when it was vanilla.
Definitely.
I've been listening to Sayonara Cupcake since vanilla. I don't know, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know.
Okay, cool. Because like some people that aren't gamers might not know. Like vanilla would be like, for example, I know this is probably showing my nerd geek cards right away, but I have been playing World of Warcraft for a little over almost 15 years now. And it's funny and it's not since vanilla. But if I was to say that I started World of Warcraft from the very, very beginning, then I would say, oh, I've been playing since vanilla. And for a while, it seemed to be in gaming that apparently if you played since vanilla, that gave you so much more cred. So get your cred and say that you've been with Sayonara Cupcake since vanilla.
Yeah. Yeah. Become an OG.
Right? I mean, it kind of has that vanilla vibe. I wanted the the vibe of this Sayonara Cupcake. My Sayonara Cupcake logo is just like this chill 1970s California retro vibe with cupcakes.
To annoy you.
To annoy my, it is sometimes. Isn't that what we all try to do a little bit, aspire to a little bit? Not like annoy too much, just like tease.
Get the reaction.
But that's our relationship. Not everybody has that relationship, but I know that you have that relationship. My child has that relationship with me. That's just how it goes. But We need those kind of peoples in life, the weirdos and the provokers, like mild provokers,
The instigators. Yeah.
the instigators. So I hope everybody comes back for the next one. And hopefully it's like on a regular basis.
It will be.